Let's start with the reaction to Jeremy Corbyn yesterday, because it was a rousing speech. Certainly everyone was very excited at the conference, and rightly so, by what he had to say. The costings this morning seem a little bit darker, though. 312 billion is what the suggestion is, that the cost of what Jeremy Corbyn has promised. How on earth could we afford to pay that?
Well, don't believe all that you read in the papers. That's one of the things I've discovered in my life. And the simple fact is that's not as much as we just created to prop up the banking system since the great crash. And the simple fact is we do not need to increase taxes on ordinary people to pay for Jeremy Corbyn's programme. We need to make sure that giant corporations like Google and Starbucks and Amazon pay their fair share of tax. We're the fifth richest nation in the world. The trouble is the small elite at the top are laundering their money abroad, not paying their tax, and the burden's falling on all the others. So that's the main way of raising this money. Make those corporations pay their fair share.
Yeah, that's what Jeremy Corbyn says, and he says it on this programme. But still, there are going to be people that feel, oh, here we go. Big promises, huge promises made yesterday, which, of course, as Ben said, got everybody very, very excited. But if you just look at some of the figures that have been quoted that people that are very much better at maths than I am have looked into, we're talking about 81,000 nurses, 69,000 teachers and 66,000 police officers just to make those promises. That's what it would cost us to pay that kind of bill. Where is the money coming from? Is it just from tax?
I mean, the simple fact is, this government wanted to spend 40 billion on 4 new nuclear submarines, 25 billion on a dodgy nuclear power plant at Hinkley Point. The money's there. So if we can find the money to build nuclear power stations and nuclear submarines, why can't we find the money for our nurses and our teachers and our doctors and have a better and fairer society?
Well, we also have to find the money to support the banking system and everything else. I mean, are you suggesting that we don't do that for the armed forces and we don't keep the banking system going? Because that feels like it will be very worrying to many people about how the economy will then work.
The economy will work better because you're creating more jobs, you're taking people off of benefits, they're paying their taxes, the economy starts to grow. Look at the last 70 years since the end of the Second World War, until Thatcher got in and started all this neoliberal economics, which Jeremy is decisively rejecting. The economy grew much more strongly, we had higher levels of investment. At the end of that first Labour government, unemployment in Newcastle was down to 1.5%, and our debt was coming down. It's about getting a growing economy. What we've seen these last near 8 years now of austerity, it hasn't worked. Debt is still going up.
Well, Ken, I know you're very happy with what Jeremy Corbyn's got to say, and indeed so was the conference. My goodness me, I was looking at all the tweets and the various things on social media are flying around. I worry that there isn't a little bit of fervour that's coming from all this, you know, relief to see such positivity coming out of the Labour camp. I mean, some of the tweets, it says, it's so exciting, it's a breath of fresh air, it reminds me of 1980. Well, of course, 1980, Labour just lost the election to Margaret Thatcher and didn't get back into power for another 20 years. You lost the last election, didn't get a majority there, and another election is a long way away. So what are you really excited about?
Well, back in 1980, I didn't actually support Michael Foot because I didn't think he could connect with ordinary voters, although I really liked the man. I supported Dennis Healy because I thought he looked a more credible Prime Minister. And what's come over this last few months since the election, people recognise in Jeremy Corbyn a fundamentally decent guy, an honest guy, but also one who stands up and does what he believes, doesn't give in to pressure from the media, and that's what you need from a leader. Also, he's made a democratic party again. I mean, it isn't just all sort of statements coming from Tony Blair and Gordon Brown and things like that, like we had under New Labour. He has a genuine debate in his shadow cabinet.
They did become Prime Minister, though, weren't they, Ken? They did get into power, which Jeremy Corbyn didn't.
Yes, but if we hadn't had 2 years of Labour MPs stabbing him in the back and undermining him, we'd have gained the 7 extra seats we needed. Just 7 seats more, Jeremy Corbyn would now be the Prime Minister. And the thing now is Labour MPs have got behind him.
OK, well, we'll see how that develops. And certainly, as you say, Ken, there was a huge amount of positivity coming out of the conference.